everybody, and welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. We are joined with a special guest this week because we need some extra help getting rid of all these fucking rats. We're talking about The Graveyard Shift from 1990, and we've got our good friend, longtime guest, Kyle, because fucking he's doing a campaign to finally get you some DVDs of Survival of the Film Freaks. So let's start off with that. Kyle, let's talk about this campaign.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? So yes, our cult cinema love letter documentary Survival of the Film Freaks is now available for pre-order on Blu-ray and DVD. I think the whole idea is to try to get this movie out there in a physical format first, because that's sort of what the movie is about and is celebrated for. So we wanted to make sure that we got the documentary out. Full feature-length doc along with extended interviews, uncut or cut segments from the movie. We have a little featurette about making the music for Survival of the Film Freaks, and we're doing this all via Indiegogo. So besides the actual physical media, which you can get, we have some other perks like poster art and a T-shirt exclusively designed by Pizza Party Printing. We also have a physical copy of the soundtrack on cassette tape. Those are super limited, and they only come in like a physical freak bundle. And we also have like digital downloads of the soundtrack. And there are a few left of a bundle that we call our personal film freak bundle, which is that you can listen to the directors of the doc, which is me and my buddy Bill Fulkerson. We can do a commentary of a film of your choice, both audio and video commentary. And hopefully there's a few left by the time you hear this, because the first round sold out in the first day. So who's to really say? But that's available along with a bunch of other stuff. But that's on Indiegogo. If you just Indiegogo and search Survival of the Film Freaks, or if you go to our Facebook page, Survival of the Film Freaks, Twitter and Instagram is @FilmFreaksMovie. And damn, I think that's it.
Real quick question, because I haven't really gotten to talk to you too much about this project beyond just saying like I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Of all the interviews that you got to do, because there's some pretty like dope interviews in this documentary, what was the one that like blew your mind the most that you were able to get?
I think that we were pretty surprised to get Joe Bob Briggs, just because it was well, I think maybe now I'm realizing that it was a little more surprising to get Joe Bob Briggs. In the moment, it didn't seem it, because this was pre The Last Drive-In, pre any of the stuff with Shudder, so he wasn't doing that stuff just yet. He was traveling and doing screenings of just various films. Like we interviewed him at the Alamo Drafthouse in Yonkers when he was presenting a 35 millimeter print of The Sentinel.
So he was Sentinel.
like, yeah, which is
a good movie.
Love that flick. So we caught him sort of off guard. I think another one that we didn't expect was Ted Raimi, just because he doesn't do a lot of docs, and when we met him, he was very and not like aggressively so, but he was like, hey, I don't talk about my brother, and I don't talk about he said it was something else, but it wasn't like we weren't going to ask him about. Yeah, I think yes, it might have clearly specifically been Spider-Man. No, he was like, because I think he's been in situations where a lot of people talk to him because they can't talk to his brother, or they want to get the same. You know what I mean?
Ted has so much pedigree that people don't even realize.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I think that and he was upfront about that. And then we were upfront being like, we have no interest in that at all. Like we don't like, we didn't, with what Ted has been in and through, and he just, he doesn't do a lot of docs. And I think that's probably why. So we were really excited that he said yes to ours. And then we were really excited that we got to talk to him about a bunch of stuff that he didn't care, like that he wouldn't have talked about otherwise,
yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And we can't go too far into it, but expect some more Kyle, because we might be collaborating with Kyle on a super secret project that you'll hear more about in June.
Everybody wants a little Kyle.
But now let's talk about Stephen King's Graveyard Shift from 1990. I picked this one, and
I want to thank you for it.
See, I'm having a little bit of buyer's remorse.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
So my thing is this. I think that when I picked this movie, it was because I remembered the last 25 minutes, which I think are stellar. Mm-hmm. But man, that hour leading up to those last 25 minutes I have like 3 notes that took place in the first hour, and everything else is the last 25 minutes.
Wow, this is going to be an agree to disagree episode.
You liked everything except for the last 25 minutes.
I wouldn't say I liked anything, but I really, I really didn't like the ending because I was like, they don't even know what they're doing. But what I do appreciate, and I didn't realize it because I was introduced to Stephen King as an adolescent, and Stephen King is an adolescent horror guy. Like he's like when you're too old for Are You Afraid of the Dark, but you're just not ready for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's like a nice little like, here's a family horror. He's a family horror guy.
I feel like it is true. And but let me interject real quick. The reason that is because it's almost nearly fucking impossible to get what he does on paper onto the screen. Yeah, because it's all about internal conversations. Yeah. So that's the problem with Stephen King.
And this was like a 6-page short that they adapted into a 90-minute movie.
We'll get to that. Brian, continue your thought.
I think I'm finished my thought. I think I'm done for the episode. That's all I have to say about the movie.
We're 8
minutes in.
I'll be back next week.
Wait, you didn't do your 6 degrees.
Oh, fuck. Stephen Mock was in the choir voice with Randy Quaid, who was in the paper with Michael Keaton, who was in Beetlejuice. Thank you. Good night.
The paper like twice. Oh no, that was a couple weeks ago. But
yeah, but he leaned on the paper pretty heavily.
They do lean on the paper, dude. It's a heavy hitter fucking movie.
I've never even seen it.
If only fucking Michael Keaton was in big trouble, dude, I'd be fucking killing this game because everyone was in big trouble.
Except for Michael Keaton, apparently.
Except for Michael Keaton.
So the movie starts out with this guy working by the cotton machine, and for whatever reason, he slams his hand against a nail.
What a number!
And that wound is bleeding so fast. He hits his hand and then he pulls it away, and it's like Carrie just walked into the room coming out of his hand.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Have you ever smashed your hand on something?
I've hit my hand, but it's never been like fucking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre exploding out of my fist.
He was aiming for that nail. Like, he knew. He was
like, workers' comp, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, he knew.
So while I was watching this movie in the first couple minutes and already feeling bored, I'm checking IMDb, and I see a piece of trivia that says that the producers didn't think that the rats were scary enough, so they hired some people to ADR the sounds of the rats, and it's at this moment that he like wipes off the blood on the cotton and throws it on the ground, and one of the rats is eating it. And I noticed that the ADR is like a person making num 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 noises, where it's just like the rat's like eating the cotton ball, and it's just like.
So completely off this movie. But speaking of ADR, fun fact I learned this week, and I don't know if you guys already knew this, but this guy I've been working with is an audio engineer, and he told me, do you know what they use for the sounds of the aliens in A Quiet Place?
No.
They tased grapes and then slowed it down. Yeah, because he was explaining to me why he loves doing like audio
Foley
engineering,
work?
and he's like,
Because
because that. Because somebody tasted the grape to see what it sounded like, and is like, this will be a cool sound for a fucking monster.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing I've heard in a long time, because like I like Foley work and I like guessing what they did, but there was no way in hell I'd ever be like, oh, they tased a grape.
Yeah,
I know that sound anywhere.
Like that. Oh, you smack yourself in the forehead. You're like, fuck, I should have known.
Yeah, but some asshole in the movie theater that likes to call out magicians was like, that ain't a monster. That's a fucking grape being tased and slowed down. You ain't fooling me, Jim Halpert.
So this dude picks up the rat and in some type of power move throws the rat into the machine, which has to break thousands of sanitation laws.
It's just cotton. And it's also 1990. They don't give a fuck.
That's how you dyed cotton. I don't know. What do you want? That's how they make all those Stephen King rules shirts.
But yeah, so then there's like nothing that I have to write about for a while, except for that Brad Dourif is awesome in this movie. Like that's my only other note for an hour.
Okay. Let me pause, all you crazy boys. So first of all, Kyle, did you take notes?
Yeah. So because he was teaching a lesson to the rats, and I felt I needed to take notes because I knew that was going to be a pop quiz.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, did you take a couple notes, or were your notes all just in the last 20 minutes?
Four notes. None in the last 20 minutes.
What the fuck is wrong with you people? I have a full set of notes for this.
Yeah, literally the only thing I thought watching this movie was like, man, these guys really love the slow fall. And that would be the only note I have.
All right, so here, let me just
Take the reins.
So what breaks my suspension of disbelief more than anything else in this movie isn't the giant rat bat mutant vampire monster. It's that pool of rat piss that Doris pisses on the chair.
Oh God!
Because it's like a cup of rat piss. There's no way in hell.
So much pee.
If you wrung out that mouse. Rat.
Yeah, like maybe it has that much blood in it, but not piss.
Not piss.
And like he cleans it up with the cotton, but it doesn't seem to clean up anything. Like it would have been more useful to just flip the chair over for a second.
that room is in shambles. There's no need to like try and wipe up some rat piss. So that's okay. But I'm here's so Graveyard Shift was actually a short story, collection of short stories by Stephen King. That was released in 86 or something like that.
Well, that was Night Shift. There is a short story in Night Shift called Graveyard Shift,
and it's just about rats, right? It's not about a rat bat monster, is it?
It is and it isn't. It's weird. It's that there's a bunch of rats, and the lower they go, the more mutated the rats are becoming.
Right.
Okay.
So like this in a really weird, fucked up way. This is one of the most faithful adaptations of a Stephen King story.
I was like, is this... I thought that this was just... Because I'm pretty sure that Night Shift... Sorry for getting it confused with Graveyard Shift. I'm pretty sure that Night Shift also had the Mangler in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it had the Mangler in it. I think it also had Lawnmower Man in it.
It did. I know that for a fact. And
sometimes they come back.
Yeah.
There was a lot of big heavy hitters out of this.
Yeah. Night Shift might have had the most adapted...
Mm-hmm.
Stephen King stories.
I think it does over Skeleton. I think it does over Skeleton Crew.
Oh yeah. Oh, but we might be screwing that up. I can't remember what's in Skeleton Crew.
I'm while you're talking, I might.
Yeah, you're gonna do that. I also think the guy that collects and redistributes horror paperbacks should be the guy to go do that for us.
All the way. Yeah.
Anyway, I actually have a note that says "Sup, Brad Dourif and cute doggo."
Yeah.
Because anytime Brad Dourif shows up, like, he's just so he does 110%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's amazing in this,
and he's giving it all. He's talking about how when he was in Vietnam, how the Viet Cong would feed POWs, like American POWs, to rats, to hungry rats, and he's got this like Brad Dourif does this thing where he's really good at making one tear.
Oh my god, that tear was amazing.
I hope we never have to discuss it because I don't really have anything good to say about it. I know that I'm in the minority, but Exorcist 3.
Oh
yeah,
he does that in Exorcist 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Brad Dourif is the only good thing in Exorcist 3, really.
I don't hate Exorcist 3 on the level that you do, Scott, but he is definitely the standout star of it.
The reason I hate Exorcist 3, and not hate, but I'm just so like confused.
It was overhyped for you by the time you saw it. Yeah,
it was so overhyped by everyone on the internet and then by shockwaves. They were like, "Oh, it's so good! It got like a Blu-ray. It looks amazing." Blah blah blah. And I watch it, and I granted, I didn't watch it on Blue because I don't watch things on Blue because I don't care about high quality. I want low quality. And I was just so underwhelmed because those movies, the whole problem with any Exorcist movie is that the pacing just doesn't work for me.
And Scott, have you ever just been whelmed?
I heard you can in Europe. So speaking of pacing, this movie has the dumbest fucking pacing, and I had no problem with it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, this movie should not work for me, and I was confused. I thought I had seen this movie before. This was my first watch.
My first watch too.
Oh, I've
Yeah,
seen
my
this
first.
multiple times.
That was my first.
I used to love, this is like still one of my favorite VHS covers. I used to love this cover of just the skull
shitty
with the
skull?
hard hat. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that we're going to have another sweet discussion that Matt picked very soon based on the ridiculous VHS cover that I have never seen and am very stoked.
There's very few adaptations out of Skeleton Crew. I thought there was way more. Night Shift has a ton.
Yeah, so Night Shift was the home run for Stephen King on the adaptation.
I think it might be. Well, wait, where is Children of the Corn and Skeleton Crew then?
No, it's in Night Shift.
Oh, okay, yeah. The Night Shift is my favorite of his collections too.
So let me push up my glasses and just let you guys know. Graveyard Shift, The Mangler, The Boogeyman. Sometimes They Come Back. Lawnmower Man, Children of the Corn. And I'm sure there's probably one feature that I don't know of in here. But then you also got like...
Wait, what's The Boogeyman? That was a feature?
Oh.
The Boogeyman
I don't
was
know
like
how the book is.
The Boogeyman was... I don't remember what it's about, but I remember...
Are you saying that it was a...
There was an adaptation of The Boogeyman. It might have been a short, so I might be like... It might have been a short film.
No, if it's what I'm thinking of, it is a full-length movie, and it has got a super cool fucking cover that is framed in my office, but it is an awful movie.
I think you're thinking of a different movie. You're thinking of the one where it's a serial killer that comes back as a ghost.
Yep. Okay. So
The
Boogeyman in here was made into a short, and I'm thinking of the same thing that you're thinking of with the window. Like, great cover.
I love the cover. Terrible.
And then
movie.
there's two shorts out of Night Shift that were in Cat's Eye.
Oh, that's right, because Quitter's Ink is in
Quitter's
there,
Ink is in here, and
what about
the one where he's on the edge
Thinner?
of the building?
Oh, Thinner was its own book. Sorry,
Thinner was its own book.
That was a Bachman book.
Dude.
Thinner.
If nobody's ever read Night Shift, we really recommend Night Shift. It's Stephen King's best.
Man, Kyle, when you were guesting regularly, you should have done that every fucking episode. That could have been your shtick.
Just throwing this out there. Also, I know it doesn't count as short films, but different seasons. Also, I think 3 of the 4 stories ended up getting adapted. But those are all novellas.
Wait, what's in different seasons?
That's Apt Pupil, Shawshank Redemption, and Stand By Me.
Oh.
What was the 4th one?
It's a fucking good one.
The 4th one was called The Body, where it's
The Body.
It's such a bad ending to an otherwise really great collection of short stories.
Yeah, The Body was really disappointing. It's an okay read, but it just does not stack up with.
No, not The Body. The Body is what became Stand By Me, The Breathing Method.
Oh, yeah,
where,
yeah. I knew what you were talking about. It's about the dead baby, right?
Well, it's about the wife gets decapitated while giving birth, but because she practiced Lamaze so much, the body instinctively just keeps doing the breathing method to birth the baby.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
No, yeah, I wasn't wrong. I remembered it. It's a real weird story and not good, but
yeah, it doesn't fit in with like Apt Pupils, like about the real horrors of like Nazis.
Yeah, and maybe we should fucking read that book again, America.
Yeah. And then Shawshank is like this heartwarming story, and like Stand By Me is like this coming of age story, and then it just ends with this 10-page fucking thrown together story about a headless body birthing a baby, and it does not fit in with how realistic the rest of the book is. Man, Stephen King, you fucked the pooch on that one. So Brad Dourif also has one of the most gnarly deaths in this movie, where it seems like a coffin maybe just smashes his face.
I really like that. Well, I mean, I guess this is a ridiculous thing to say, especially from a person like me, but I think that's my favorite kill in the movie because it just seems so pointless.
Yeah.
And that I liked that about it. It was like, he didn't die for this, but it's just kind of like, his character makes no sense, and you're expecting him to have like a bigger. This movie was pretty cool in that it sets up expectations and then just destroys them.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, I'm expecting this to be interesting.
But like, I feel like one of the things that bothers me is like the super evil boss was such an unnecessary trope in this movie. Like, you've got a killer monster.
Yeah.
Like,
he's the only one with a semi-Maine accent.
Okay, I was going to ask, is that what they thought Maine accents were? Because that's not like a very good Maine accent.
Well, everybody else thought it was a Southern accent, so I guess he's the closest thing to it. It is excessive. It is aggressive.
That's a good word for it. It's something.
It's something, but it's also not a Southern accent like everybody else. So it's like, Okay, sure.
There's such weird choices in this movie. Like when they're cleaning the rats while listening to Wipeout and they're just shooting them.
Surfing
No,
Safari. It's surfing, or it's
Wipeout would have been
Surfing
better.
Safari. Yeah, so fuck. And the guy who's using the he's using the water. What the fuck is the word?
The hose.
Yeah, the hose. He's using it like as a phallic symbol almost. He's like, ah. It is
It's
so.
his
This movie is so
masculinity, man.
odd. Yeah, it's just this movie is so odd. I liked it. I really enjoyed the watch. But I got more things to say.
Is one of them keep the ghetto blaster in the ghetto? Because that might be my favorite line in the movie.
No, I don't.
Geez, yeah,
I
that was one.
Spoken by a character who does very subtle blackface by rubbing oil all over his face to not be found by the bat.
Yeah, that was real weird too.
No,
But so-
don't be that guy. Don't be the Mary Poppins guy.
Wait, do your Mary Poppins.
No.
Mary Poppins. No, I know what Brian's talking about. It's fucking stupid. But yeah,
Very stupid.
Warwick.
But
Just
so
an
Warwick.
awful character.
But what was he in Nam? Was he in the shit? And that's why he's like doing the.
I don't know what's going on with Warwick. That character has no development except that he fucks bitches and is crazy. Like that's his entire plot line.
Oh, yeah.
He does.
I do love that.
He doesn't even work here.
I love that when he is getting sexually molested by his little side piece out in front of his car. He goes, "You don't want to be doing that in daylight."
Yeah.
And then she's like,
I like that
"Then
she
let's do it in
wrecks
the
that car.
dark." Yeah. Oh.
Like, oh, dude, like most people, you have like the bitter ex or whatever that like fucks up a car, but this is the most I've
And
ever seen a
everybody's
car
just letting
really
it happen
get fucked up.
because they're like, fuck Warwick. He's such an asshole. They're like,
Yeah.
It's that part's dope. Like, there's random moments where I'm like, okay, I'm into this. But it really, for me, the movie doesn't start until that fat dude falls through the stairs, and then I'm like, all right,
Yeah, fire it up.
movie's on.
Fire it up.
Like,
yeah, it's
Here
because
it
you've been
comes.
watching too much fucking Power Rangers and you just want to see Bulk and Skull.
I was like, where's
Yeah.
the cake?
Yeah.
But yeah, he falls in that pit, and there's like it's like Poltergeist. There's just fucking skeletons popping out of the water
How
and
are
shit.
there that many skeletons down there?
Graveyard
Like, it
shift,
doesn't-
guys.
Because Warwick just keeps hiring drifters and then letting them die. Like,
Yeah, the basement full of just skeletons. It was such like a cheesy Rob Zombie feel, you know.
Oh, are you
And I was
gonna
just-
talk shit on Rob Zombie, Mr. Rob Zombie? Come in my
Listen.
mouth, man.
I
Whoa,
love,
that's your
I
real
love
name?
Rob Zombie. Yeah, bleep that out.
Yeah,
That's it. Don't play. That's it. Don't play last names. I love Rob Zombie, but yeah, he overuses skeletons and rednecks. You know, like as soon as I saw that thing, I was just ready for some vulgar, like white trash guy to be like, "Well, suck a fart out of my cunt."
It's G. Ober.
but yeah, man. I will say your favorite death is the face smash by the fucking coffin. The clip that I use the most from this movie in my Halloween like playlist though is Carmichael just getting his arm ripped out of.
Ooh,
I like
the
that
hole.
scene.
that was too
I like that
real, man,
scene.
because he was actually
Yeah.
a good actor.
Yeah, he's like screaming. I don't even know if he actually dies in that scene. They just leave him.
No,
No,
he
you see him get
gets
dragged
pulled away.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. But the other part that I love in this movie is the fucking reveal of the monster's face when the guy flicks open the lighter and it's just like face to face, like the arena cover. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that thing still looks pretty dope for like a low budget
monsters
special effect.
don't go bad, dude. They just get better with age.
Explain that to the Jaws prop that Universal just left outside for 30 years.
Yeah.
They go bad.
I mean, vision on celluloid, they don't stop looking fucking cool, man.
There's nothing that has like ruined my fear of sharks more than looking at the 10 years later prop of Jaws where all the teeth have fallen out and it just looks like a grandpa.
Okay, so you'd be okay with getting sucked by a fucking shark. I wouldn't want a shark to suck me whole.
Just going
wait, what are we talking about again?
A toothless shark. I'm about getting killed by a toothless shark.
But yeah, man, like I love the there's little scenes in this movie before they reveal the full bat creature. There's like these cool scenes where like right before a guy dies where like you kind of see the wing expand in the background, and like they did a good job of like showing bits and pieces of it. But I found a picture of what it looked like, and it's a cool fucking creature.
Yeah,
like it just looks cool.
I also love that there's no explanation. I almost wish that no one would have lived, because that would have been kind of better.
Yeah, no one does in the book. The guy, the drifter guy, lets the creature eat Warwick, but then as he's trying to run out, all the rats get him, and the rats eat him alive at the end.
See, I would totally be down with that. That's cool.
And and I think we might have already touched on it, but the reason I hate the ending is, did I black out? Did they ever explain why Warwick just decides to jam a knife in her side?
No, and that's also one of the things I really liked about this movie, is that it just feels so dark. Like there's no reason for Warwick to be anything at all in this movie, and then he is like a straight psychopath for no reason, and it just feels like I really wish that I could explain why that does it for me here, because it's not my usual, but it's just cool because it's so unexpected.
I didn't really I didn't look at it like that, but now that you say it, it's kind of it sheds a little bit of light on his character for me, because it's like, okay, so he's hiring all these drifters and they're disappearing, so he obviously doesn't care. So then when he gets close to knowing why that's happening, it like excites him more, and it gets him like more dastardly and more like evil almost. Yeah,
you almost wonder if he like is like, oh sweet, I can just, because he seems like that type of dude who doesn't want to pay people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, oh cool. Now I can just keep getting drifters, and before I have to pay them, I'll just feed them to this fucking rat creature in my basement.
Right. Yeah. So like once he like uncovers more of what that is, he's like, oh, this is what is like he almost morphs into like that's the most evil thing besides the actual like rat bat do it again creature.
I wouldn't even consider the rat bat evil. He's just living his life.
True. You're right. It ain't easy down there.
And then he gets pulled into the cotton picker, and that's pretty gooey and gross.
Oh man, I love that. Yeah. I love it. But
good.
Also, I have a question about that part. Why wouldn't you just run over and hit the button?
You want to show off your 6 skills?
Oh yeah. I didn't even know like you can't just have a slingshot like that.
Why was that with him
come from
the whole time?
He's a drifter. They have slingshots and bandanas for carrying.
I honestly left this movie. Yeah, and I left this movie kind of wanting to buy a slingshot.
I have one. I got it in a estate sale for like $3, worth of $3, my friend.
Hey man.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be fun.
Scott, would you have been happier if, much like in Demon Wind, he just karate kicked a soda can into the into the start button?
Fucking God. Well, I guess you found my double feature.
All right, so Scott, you love this movie for a variety of reasons. Can you guess why I love this movie?
The cover?
Because it ends with a fucking hip hop track.
Oh yeah.
I turned it off. I turned it off before the fucking music started.
I let the whole thing rock, dude. It's great.
Scott, it's one of those ones where it's not a rap song. There's no one rapping. It's just a rap beat with samples from the movie. So it's just
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Graveyard shit. I was like, who ends this movie like this? It doesn't fit
The tone is all over the place. It's wild.
It's like, this isn't Monster Squad or Men in Black. It's fucking Graveyard Shift. It doesn't need... It's like when People Under the Stairs ends with that rap song. It's like, we just watched some really fucked up shit for like an hour and a half, and we're ending with just like a, hey, everything's all right, like rap song in the background.
It's ridiculous.
I love
this
it.
movie was like pitched and written just like with a Stephen King 101 like cheat sheet, which is just like, okay, yeah, Maine for sure, and you got to have like blue collar workers. Oh yeah, we can do that. And then they have lines like keep the ghetto blaster in the ghetto or whatever. And then they're talking, one of my favorite lines, which is my fourth note that I wrote before I didn't write anything else, was they were talking about like how they're all family or they're all in this together. And the woman, I forget her character's name, she just goes, yeah, the Manson family, which makes no sense. They aren't, nobody in there is similar to the Manson family, but they're like, oh yeah, this is a horror movie. We should have a line that references the Manson family.
But that also doesn't sound like something Stephen King would
And
do.
it's completely not. It's like, none of, they're like, and oh my God. And they have to have like the crazy character who has a monologue in Brad Dourif, but like, but honestly, that doesn't even feel like Stephen King the way that they presented in this movie. It's like nothing is close to King in my mind, with the exception of like it's like they wrote the synopsis to be Stephen King and then they made an entirely different movie.
Well, I think that Warwick is a very Stephen King antagonist, because that's also one of his big things, is that there is a supernatural threat, but then is the supernatural threat worse than the human threat?
Human threat. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So I get that, and I also think that Warwick was written well in that, if you look at it like that, he's just fucking ridiculous. Like, I love this movie. I don't know how often I'm gonna watch it,
right?
But I really enjoyed my watch, and I had no problem with the pacing because I took it as a Stephen King movie.
Sure. Okay.
Like people, they slobber all over Pet Sematary, but and it's been a while since I've watched Pet Sematary, but I bet that the pacing's not much better in that movie, and that movie is a classic.
Honestly, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that like the pacing is
Stephen King movies, the pacing is not great.
I think there's a couple more layers to Pet Sematary, which like adds to it. Which luckily like sort of adds to it. And I mean, that's what happens when you make a 20-page short into a feature film.
Right, they actually had a little bit more to
work with on that. Yeah, for sure. But the pacing is similar. I think that would be a true statement.
Damn right,
dog.
All right, so what's everybody's double features?
Well, let's let Kyle go because he's the special guest.
Let's not, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, cool. I may have forgotten to tell Kyle about this part. So I think my double feature with this bad boy is.
I have one.
Go for it. Then you start, because I'm blanking now.
I am going to do the cheapest possible answer and say the Mangler, just because it feels like a true compliment, because it's the same movie just with different concepts. I would also say that you could also do a triple feature, or you could do another double feature and not do the Mangler. You could do Gnaw.
Yeah,
Food of the Gods, because those have giant rats, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I would do, because I forgot about the idea of just you're walking through a Blockbuster looking at VHS tapes. In that scenario, I would look at that skull with a hard hat, and then I'd look over into the B section of the video store and see another skull staring at me on the cover of Bloody New Year.
Yeah!
And I'd be like, man, it's going to be a skeleton double feature tonight.
Oh, man.
And then there would be no skeletons in either movie. It would be so
But you know what happens in Bloody New Year that I like?
Oh, God, you and your fucking are my seam showing bullshit.
Are my seams straight? Get it right, or else I can't complete myself.
All right, Brian or Kyle, which one of you wants to take the next dive for a double feature here?
So I would be like, you know what? I'm in a mouse kind of
Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Stuart Little.
I was going to go with Five Goes West. No. So we're going to watch Willard, but original Willard would be disrespectful to watch with this movie.
So we're going Crispin Glover?
Yeah, we're going to the remake of Willard. And then no one's happy.
You took what I was going to say. So I'm going to say...
That's why you never go last.
So I'm going to say Ben. The sequel to Willard.
Better song.
There's I want to say it's Bruno Mattei who did a Rats movie, and I'm trying to remember because there's of course like 3 different titles to it. But there is Rats Night of Terror, and because nothing would follow up a really like American adaptation of a Stephen King book from 1990 than a horrible Italian horror movie from the mid 80s about rats. I think that'd be a nice fun thing to follow up, because I think that Graveyard Shift can kind of go either way, and it's also like whether you like it or you don't, on the whole, like it's not anything, it's not trying to be anything that it's not. It's like very much like a 90s Stephen King movie, or at least a 90s horror movie. Like even I don't feel like it's Stephen King, it's definitely like that early 90s horror where it's just like, okay, it's there. So I think regardless, it would be nice to do something a little crazy afterwards, and we'll do Rats Night of Terror.
I was shocked to find out this movie opened #1 the weekend that it came out, but it also came out 2 days before Halloween in 1990, so I can't imagine there was a lot of competition going on either.
Yeah.
But all right, Kyle, before we wrap up, one more time, where can people go to donate to get their pre-orders for Survival of the Film?
So best thing to do is just go to Indiegogo and search Survival of the Film Freaks, or you can go to our Facebook page. We've been posting the link all the time. I mean,
we'll post it too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
Actually, I know. I think it was in the group before, and
it'll be in the group again.
But yeah, Indiegogo, Survival of the Film Freaks. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at Film Freaks Movie. We're going to be pretty annoying for the length of the campaign, but we're doing really well, and the response has been great. And I appreciate you guys having me on and let me watch Graveyard Shift with y'all.
Hey, before we end for the week, I got word from my wonderful wife that I'm an idiot, because the Are My Seams Straight isn't from Bloody New Year. Bloody New Year was paying homage to the greatest comedy of all time, Some Like It Hot. Marilyn Monroe asks the 2 cross-dressers, Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. She's yelling at me from the other room.
I can hear in the background. I hope it comes through for the episode.
but they're standing there dressed as women, and she turns around and is like, "Are my seams straight?" So wow. And Megan was so pissed off. I actually she was like, "You don't know what that's from?" And I muted myself, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Are my seams straight is from Something Like It Hot." I was like, what? She's like, "I can't believe you don't know this." She was like so offended.
I mean, it is the greatest comedy in American history, Scott. Get it together.
It really is one of the greatest comedies. That movie is older than my parents, and it's still one of the greatest films ever.
So that was Graveyard Shift from 1990, as picked by me. Next week, we're going to totally go to the mall, and it's going to be so much fun. So tune in next week to see what we're talking about. But in the meantime, hit up our social medias, hit up all of our website stuff, hmnpodcast.com, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes while you get a chance. And then when you're done doing all of that, head over to Indiegogo and donate to the Survival of the Film Freaks campaign for Kyle. We will be back next week.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.